What if the safest assumption is that every device around you is already compromised?
Not just your phone, your laptop, your hotel Wi-Fi, even a gift sitting on a conference table.
When high-level government delegations travel internationally, they operate under a very different security mindset than the rest of us.
They don't trust the environment. They assume exposure.
Burner phones, temporary laptops, isolated credentials, devices designed to be abandoned if necessary.
Because modern espionage rarely looks dramatic anymore. It looks like convenience.
A charging cable, a Bluetooth pairing request, a free USB drive, a hotel network that looks legitimate.
And once a single trusted device is compromised, the exposure doesn't stay contained. It cascades through cloud accounts, authentication systems, recovery paths, and connected identities.
This isn't paranoia, it's operational architecture.
In this episode, we break down how professional security teams think about exposure, compartmentalization, and controlled access, and why those same principles now matter to everyone living a connected digital life.
Because real security was never built on trust.
It was built on controlled exposure.
So that opening premise, it completely shifts how you view a normal business trip, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we are heavily conditioned by movies to look for these really obvious threats, like the covert agent tailing you through an airport terminal.
Right, the cinematic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But based on our analysis of the sources today, a hostile intelligence environment doesn't broadcast its hostility. It disguises itself as extreme helpfulness.
Yes.
Like a seamless hotel Wi-Fi login page, or, a software update prompting you right as you land in a foreign country, supposedly to help you connect to local towers.
That is exactly it. State intelligence collection is systematic, it's incredibly patient, and, well, almost entirely passive.
Right.
Nations gather data continuously. They're vacuuming up every signal they can intercept across their infrastructure. They aren't always looking for immediate access to your most secret files.
Right.
No, they're building a comprehensive, undeniable map of your digital footprint. And they do this well before they ever attempt an active breach.
Which brings up a really vital point about how we value our own data. It's not always about reading your private emails or, listening to your phone calls.
Right.
The material emphasizes that metadata harvesting, so who you called, when you called them, and for how long, is frequently vastly more valuable than the content of the conversation itself.
Oh, without a doubt.
I always compare it to someone tracking your car's GPS. They don't need to hear what you and your passengers are discussing inside the vehicle to know precisely what you are up to.
Exactly.
If they see your car parked outside a competitor's headquarters for 4 hours and then immediately driving to an investment bank, the metadata tells the entire strategic story.
That is the perfect analogy. Metadata reveals the undeniable patterns of life. If device A is consistently in the same geographic location as device B at 2:20 a.m., well, the math implies a relationship or a clandestine meeting.
Regardless of what is being spoken aloud.
Precisely. And before technical systems are ever aggressively attacked, social engineering exploits human trust to capture that data.
We just assume the physical world around us is neutral.
Yeah, we do. But hardware compromise is entirely invisible to the naked eye. We are talking about microscopic implants hidden inside standard cables,
Wow.
modified accessories, and preloaded firmware on devices that look completely factory sealed.
I think this is a great moment to ask you, listening right now, think about your own habits. When was the last time you blindly accepted a software update prompt or plugged into a random charging cable while traveling just because your battery was in the red?
Oh, everyone does it.
Right. Let us know in the comments below, because that simple, mindless reflex is exactly what this threat model targets.
It really is. And because the threat hides in those everyday conveniences, professionals completely alter their baseline when they travel.
How so?
Well, if you operate under the absolute assumption that the environment will inevitably compromise any device you bring, the only logical solution is to carry a device you genuinely do not care about losing.
Ah, okay.
The core principle driving all of this is straightforward. The safest device is the one you can abandon.
Let's unpack the methodology behind that, because it sounds pretty extreme to the average user.
It does.
We were talking about burner phones restricted to voice and SMS only. Absolutely zero linked accounts.
Right.
No app installations permitted. And when the trip is over, those phones are physically destroyed or subjected to cryptographic wipes.
Yes, and that stringent protocol extends to travel-only laptops, too.
Okay.
These are machines running a completely clean operating system. They're often loaded from a verified read-only drive just before departure.
Wow. So no old files.
Nothing. They contain 0 stored credentials. They have absolutely no connection to the organization's core production systems.
That makes sense.
Any credentials used on the trip are completely isolated, meaning they are temporary accounts provisioned exclusively for that specific journey and decommissioned the very moment the traveler returns.
I understand the theory, but let's play devil's advocate regarding the implementation.
Okay, sure.
Isn't traveling with a totally blank laptop incredibly counterproductive? I mean, you step off a 14-hour flight, open your machine in a hotel room, and you have to rebuild your workflow from scratch, piece by piece, just to review a standard briefing document?
Yeah.
It introduces massive delays.
It introduces significant delays, and that is precisely the design.
Wait, really?
Yes. Convenience is the ultimate enemy of security in high-risk environments. The overarching goal is to engineer an unbreachable wall between the temporary travel environment and the core network back home. It is a philosophy of compartmentalization. Each device carries only what its specific role requires to function for that exact time frame, nothing more.
Yeah.
If that laptop is seized at customs, and border agents in many countries have the legal authority to demand your passwords and clone your drive out of sight, the adversaries get a blank operating system.
Right.
And maybe a temporary email inbox that expires in 24 hours anyway.
Which perfectly highlights the vulnerability of what the rest of us do every single day. Taking your standard everyday personal phone on a high-risk trip is described in the sources as a catastrophic strategic liability.
It really is.
It isn't just a communication tool. It is a live node.
A live node is the perfect term. Your personal device is perpetually connected to your entire digital life.
Yeah.
It holds your saved passwords, your recovery paths, your cloud storage, your business systems, and all your active authenticated sessions.
The authenticated sessions are the real prize, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
If an adversary gets into your phone, they aren't just reading your locally stored text messages. They ride your authenticated session straight into your corporate network.
Yes, exactly.
Think of an authenticated session token like a bouncer at an exclusive club who stamps your hand. Once you have that stamp, you don't need to show your ID or your password anymore. You just walk right past security.
That's a great way to put it.
Attackers want to steal the stamp, not the password.
Exactly right. We call this authentication inheritance.
Yeah.
A single breached device silently unlocks every connected system because it possesses those valid session tokens.
Wow.
There is no visible sign of intrusion because, to the network, the access looks completely legitimate. The system just sees a verified device requesting data.
So it bypasses security completely?
Yes, it completely bypasses multi-factor authentication because the MFA check was already passed when the token was originally issued.
That is terrifying.
This is why carrying a live node into a hostile environment is incredibly dangerous. Look at your personal phone right now. How many apps currently have the keys to your bank, your email, your entire professional life?
Right. Think about it.
Drop a comment below with your guess on how many live nodes you're carrying in your pocket right this second.
I bet the number is way higher than people realize. Before we get into what happens on Air Force One, if you are finding this breakdown as fascinating as I am, make sure to hit subscribe on our YouTube NCWEBDEV channel. You do not want to miss all the new stuff coming out.
Okay, so we have discussed the devices you deliberately bring with you.
Yeah.
But the physical world presents another massive vulnerability. The devices you were given. A gift is an access point until verified otherwise.
This is where we move from digital payloads to physical ones. It's fascinating how a seemingly harmless commemorative pin or an elegant desk clock handed to you by a foreign dignitary has to be viewed not as a gesture of goodwill, but as a Trojan horse.
Completely.
It's like a dormant seed just waiting for the right conditions to sprout. It's like being handed a radioactive isotope.
That mindset is absolutely required at the highest levels. Supply chain compromises occur well before the gift is ever handed across a table.
Right.
We frequently see USB drives engineered to execute silent payloads the millisecond they are inserted. Consumer gifts like digital frames or desk ornaments are routinely found harboring embedded microphones.
Just sitting there on a desk.
Yes. And the technology is staggering. Even the smallest physical object can carry a passive RF transmitter or a magnetic implant smaller than a grain of rice.
And what's wild about those passive RF transmitters is that they don't even need an internal power source, right?
Right.
They don't have a battery that dies after a month. They sit entirely dormant, completely undetectable by standard sweeps, until an external radio frequency from a nearby surveillance van energizes them.
Exactly.
That radio wave provides just enough power for the implant to transmit location and proximity data back to the adversary.
Precisely. You are carrying an infinite surveillance beacon without realizing it. This leads directly to the Air Force One standing policy.
This part was amazing.
The rule is absolute. Nothing goes back on Air Force One.
Nothing at all.
Every single ceremonial pin, small token, or keepsake handed to a delegation is immediately collected by security personnel, cataloged, and meticulously screened in an isolated facility before any decision is made about its ultimate fate.
So they don't just put it in their pocket?
Never. And in reality, a vast majority of those items go straight into an incinerator. The protocol extends to any item received in an unsecured environment, regardless of who gave it, what it looks like, or how insignificant it appears.
So let's map this out for a normal traveler.
Yeah.
You refuse all gifts, you bring a burner phone, you use a sterile blank laptop.
Right.
But you still have to exist in the physical space of the hotel. You have to sleep, you have to work. And the hotel itself is an expansive, incredibly porous attack surface.
Because, once again, convenience is the trap. Every effortless connection point represents an unverified channel.
Yeah.
Take public Wi-Fi. The network might prominently be named Grand Hotel Guest, but rogue access points routinely mimic legitimate networks.
And this isn't someone manually typing in a fake name, is it?
No. Automated tools scan the environment, clone the legitimate network's SSID and MHAS address instantly, and broadcast a stronger signal so your device auto-connects to them instead.
That is so sneaky.
You think you are connecting to the lobby router, but you are routing all your private traffic through an intercept device.
And it isn't just Wi-Fi. Bluetooth exposure is just as severe.
Oh, definitely.
Leaving your device constantly discoverable invites unwanted pairing requests and proximity attacks from hostile actors sitting just a few tables away in the hotel lounge, exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities in the Bluetooth protocol itself.
Then there is juice jacking. Those highly convenient, seamless public charging stations at the airport or the hotel business center.
Most people don't realize that a standard USB cable has multiple pins inside the connector.
Right.
Some of those pins deliver electrical power, but others are entirely dedicated to data transfer. They are bundled together in the exact same wire head.
Exactly.
When you plug into a seamless charging kiosk, you aren't just drawing electricity. You are physically hardwiring your device's data port to an unknown machine hidden behind a wall panel.
Which means hostile charging ports can push malicious data payloads or siphon information over that connection the instant you plug in. Given all of these invisible traps, the rogue networks, the microscopic implants, the poison charging cables, the natural question is, how do professionals ever survive a trip without being completely compromised?
The answer is by intentionally limiting the damage. They engineer their systems to reduce the blast radius.
Yes.
And the beauty of this methodology is that these are the exact same principles anyone can apply to their own life. You don't need a massive government budget to compartmentalize.
Exactly. Security professionals do not aim for perfect prevention, because perfect prevention in a hostile environment is mathematically impossible.
Right.
Instead, they design a framework where a breach is securely contained. Role defines exposure, never individual convenience.
Okay, so how do we do that?
If we look at the practical applications, the first major step is establishing separate travel accounts.
Right, so instead of logging into your primary personal email on the road, you provision a dedicated email address specifically for that trip. You use it for your boarding passes and hotel reservations, and then you decommission or lock it the moment you land back home.
Precisely. The second principle is treating all untrusted hardware as hostile. Never use unknown USBs.
Never.
Treat any found or gifted drive as an unverified device. The third step involves aggressively managing your transmission protocols, like disable auto-connect features.
Right.
Turn off automatic Wi-Fi and Bluetooth pairing so that every single connection you make is a deliberate, conscious choice rather than a background process.
The fourth recommendation is where I want to explore a bit deeper, because I think there's a lot of public misunderstanding here.
Okay.
The guidelines strongly advocate for hardware multi-factor authentication and explicitly state that SMS-based codes are the absolute weakest layer of MFA.
Yes, they are.
But virtually every bank and major service defaults to sending a text message with a 6-digit code. Why is something so universal considered so terribly weak by the professionals?
Because, well, SMS was fundamentally never designed for secure authentication. It relies on the SS7 signaling protocol used by cellular networks, which is notoriously vulnerable to interception globally.
Oh, I see.
More commonly, adversaries execute SIM swapping attacks. They use social engineering to trick your mobile carrier's customer service rep into transferring your phone number to a SIM card they control.
That sounds way too easy.
It happens all the time. Suddenly, they receive all your authentication texts effortlessly, and your phone goes completely dead.
So they don't even need to hack your phone. They just hack the telecom provider.
Exactly. Physical hardware keys, on the other hand, utilize cryptographic protocols. They require a physical object in your hand to authenticate.
Right, like a little USB stick.
Yes. You must physically plug it into the USB port or tap it against your device. It raises the cost of compromise exponentially because an attacker cannot hack a physical piece of plastic from a continent away. The cryptographic handshake only works if the physical key is locally present.
That distinction makes the vulnerability of text messages incredibly clear. You are trading cryptographic certainty for the convenience of a text message.
Exactly.
And finally, the fifth step, minimize app permissions. Every app with microphone location or contact access is a potential data channel waiting to be exploited.
Right.
You need to audit and restrict those permissions regularly. So, looking at those guidelines, which of these 5 steps are you going to implement on your next trip? Tell us in the comments.
If we synthesize this entire philosophy, it comes down to a fundamental shift in perspective. Professionals do not rely on trust, they rely on controlled exposure.
Yeah.
This mindset is not about paranoia, it is about intentional design. They engineer their environments, both digital and physical, so that trust is never the variable determining the final outcome.
It's a comprehensive framework that genuinely works for anyone willing to think systematically about how access, devices, and networks interact. Assume exposure, treat every environment as potentially hostile, and plan your hardware accordingly. Minimize surface, carry only what the specific mission requires, and leave absolutely everything else behind.
Right.
Control access, segment your accounts, isolate your credentials, and never accumulate open connections.
The overall threat level between an international diplomat and a casual tourist differs greatly in magnitude, but the underlying operational logic remains completely identical. You control the exposure, you control the risk.
And that leads to a final provocative thought for you to ponder long after we sign off today.
Okay.
If we are adopting the zero-trust, controlled exposure mindset for our travel laptops and phones while on the road, shouldn't we be applying that exact same architecture to our own homes?
Oh, wow, that's a great point.
Think about the internet-connected smart TVs, the modern refrigerators, the wireless baby monitors sitting in your living room right now. Are they genuinely secure? Or are they just highly convenient attack surfaces quietly sitting on your personal network?